Ultraviolet rays in Singapore have hit extreme levels recently. I am not taking any chances. UV rays are invisible. But I have this special camera, a UV camera that allows me to see images in this light spectrum. When you use this on me. This is how I look. My face is all dark because of my sunscreen. It literally blocks the UV light from hitting my face. But it's everyone like me. I'm going to use this UV camera to help me identify who is wearing sunscreen and who isn't. Is there a difference?
Yep.
What is the difference? Yeah. So basically, I'm wearing sunscreen and you are not wearing sunscreen. So on camera, you will see that my face has a certain layer over it. It means that the product is working to block out the UV rays. I see that your face is a little bit darker compared to his face. Now, this is good news. Are you wearing sunscreen?
Yes, I am.
Are you wearing sunscreen?
I'm not.
Okay. How does that make you feel?
Great. My sunblock is paying off.
What do you see?
Very different. I think it really shows a contrast between using and not using the products.
Are you wearing sunblock?
Yeah, in the morning, but I didn't reapply it.
Give me a high five.
Okay.
Are you wearing sunscreen?
I don't wear sunscreen personally because I sweat a lot. So when I do wear it, I have to reapply every 1 to 2 hours.
Okay.
Too much of hassle to do so.
So do you feel that it's a woman's problem? Do you see him swallow saliva there?
I mean, my wife has been telling me to apply sunscreen, but I just lazy lah.
You don't have a habit of wearing sunscreen?
I do actually during the work days. Yeah, but then today am I being driven here? Yeah, so then I'm being driven back and then I'm going to stay at home, so I didn't wear lah.
What about baby?
Baby?
Do you have a habit of putting sunscreen on them?
No, only if we go to the beach or somewhere with very strong sun.
I look a lot darker and oilier, right? And Krish, come. Whoa! What do we see? Our faces the same?
No.
Do you regularly not wear sunscreen?
Yes, I do.
Out of the 12 people we got on camera, 10 people did not wear sunscreen. In this episode, I'm going to reveal just how dangerous ultraviolet light is and how it can affect you in the most unsuspecting ways. Just to be safe. What exactly is ultraviolet light? Well, it's very similar to visible light, except it has shorter wavelengths. That's why you can't see UV light, but it's all around us. Let me show you. In the visible light spectrum, this is what you see. In the UV light spectrum, the glasses turn black because they block the UV rays, which we cannot see with our naked eye. Only 3% of the light that reaches the Earth is ultraviolet light, but it's enough to cause damage. That's why the weatherman measures ultraviolet levels every day. But how do you measure something that is invisible? If you think we are at a military site, well, you are wrong. This is Singapore's only meteorological station. And security is so tight because it is situated within the restricted area of the Changi Airport, where there are no buildings to block sunlight. I'm here to meet meteorologist Leong Pei Yi.
So right now we'll be going to where the UV eye sensor is installed. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yes, correct. So right on the top what we have is the sensor which measures the UV index. It's a measure of the intensity of ultraviolet radiation exposure. So the ultraviolet radiation that reaches the Earth is mainly made up of UVA rays and some UVB rays, and that is what the radiometer is measuring. So based on the amount of UVA rays and UVB rays that reaches the sensor, it will actually convert it into a UV index, which basically estimates the sunburn effect of UV radiation on the human skin.
What do you reckon the UVI is right now?
So the data is transmitted real time back to our station. Perhaps I'll show you back in our office. Yeah, let's go. Diana, you were interested in the UV index earlier. So because now we're close to noon time, so the UV index is actually increased to 7, which is the high exposure category. UV index, they range from 0 to 11 or greater, and they're actually categorized into various exposure categories. So the higher the UV index, the greater the potential damage to us, and the shorter the time that it will take for this damage to occur.
The very high and extremely high levels are from 8 to 11. How often do we hit those levels?
Because of our location near the equator, it's actually quite common for Singapore to hit exposure levels of very high to extreme between 11 AM and 3 PM on days with a little cloud cover. Yeah, so in terms of the days that have reached extreme levels of UVI, based on our data for the past 14 years, the monthly average number of days can range from about 4 to 21 days per month. Generally, we see the highest number of days with extreme UVI in February, March and April.
Earlier, I discovered that many men and even some women don't bother wearing sunscreen. This mirrors our talking point poll. Out of the 510 women who responded, 36% say they don't wear sunscreen daily. And of the 154 men, a whopping 82% say they don't use sunscreen daily. And of the 308 respondents who have kids aged 7 to 12, 85% say they don't apply sunscreen on their children. What happens when you don't use sunscreen daily? I'm going to show you. I've invited 5 Talking Point viewers to join me for a little test. All lighter skin toned because it's easier to spot pigmentation. All of them also do not use sunscreen daily. I've asked them to meet dermatologist Dr. Eileen Tan. She's scanning their faces for wrinkles, pigmentation, and texture, all elements of skin damage from sun exposure. Here are the results. The UV score assesses the extent of UV damage to the skin, while the SPOT score measures the extent of skin discoloration. The higher the percentile, the better their skin conditions. With the exception of Patrick, who is 54 years old, younger profiles have scored well when compared to people in their age groups. But even then...
Okay, Ryan, congratulations, you have pretty good results. But if you look at the SPOT score for pigmentation, you are in the range of 79%, meaning that you may have a bit of accumulation of pigmentation onto your skin.
I think I spend a fair amount of time in the sun and I don't really use any sunblock or anything like that.
Okay, now Jinta, you may have a lot of sun exposure.
Yes, I play basketball, cycle and run.
Actually, on the face, you can see there's some freckling on the sides and also on the nose. If you get a closer look, you're probably going to see them. Okay, so for Miss Goh, previous sun exposure has caused a bit of accumulation of some pigment spots.
Guilty as charged, I don't use sunscreen. And I teach swimming.
Let's move on to Patrick.
Now, Patrick, I'm very worried about your assessment report.
Why?
There is generalized sagging of the skin, especially of the lower part of the face. And then if you look at the wrinkles, there are a lot of wrinkles around the eye areas.
I think related to my work, because most of the time I'm doing outdoor.
What is the worst that can happen? I mean, in Patrick's case, if he refuses to do anything.
Cumulative sun exposure will definitely increase the risk of skin cancer, especially if he has multiple episodes of blistering sunburn, which increases the risk of melanoma and non-melanoma skin cancer significantly.
Patrick, are you bothered by all the sun damage that she's talked about? Do you think that real men will wear sunscreen?
I saw it before.
You will start doing from today.
Okay, I will give it a try. Yeah.
For Jet, he's young and probably he has good regenerative capability, so there's not much of UV damage on his skin on a permanent basis right now.
Do very young children need to wear sunscreen?
For children above 6 months old and adolescents, you can encourage them to wear a daily use sunscreen, regardless of whether they are adults or kids. They could get sunburn. Photoaging is cumulative. If you do not continue to protect your skin with sunscreens and adjust your lifestyle, sooner or later you notice that you're going to get more and more accelerated aging.
While the damage may not be severe, especially for kids, skin damage gets more visible as one gets older. Prolonged exposure can even lead to skin cancer. And there's more.
There's this area that's often neglected, which is the scalp. I have more things to share about the UV impact on a certain neglected area like the scalp and the hair.
What is the impact?
So Chu Hui is actually a perfect candidate. She's a swim coach. If she allows me, I will just do a scalp and hair analysis on her.
Okay, sure.
So there's some degree of redness, and you can see that there's some cuffing around the hair follicles and on the center part of the scalp and also on the back. And there's also some flakiness and the peeling of the scalp. So these are features of probably acute sunburn of varying degree. Ultraviolet radiation can definitely penetrate to water, and so even though you think you're in a pool and swimming, so there's direct impact and sun exposure onto your scalp. Many episodes of sunburns, eventually it may tip you over to developing some abnormal growth like skin cancer.
Okay. So does that mean I also need to put sunscreen on top of my scalp?
Yeah.
This I get me is very worrying right now.
Right. So you may have to find physical measures like wearing a swim cap.
Knowing what you know now about the impact on your scalp, would you do anything differently?
I didn't know that my scalp will get sunburned, which I think is a new fact which will make me think twice about, okay, should I really need to wear a swimming cap or a physical hat to protect my hair scalp even more? Because I'm actually very thin with my hair, like, compared to the skin. Like.
It looks like we've moved the needle with you, which is excellent. Prolonged exposure to UV rays can cause serious damage to our skin and even scalp. If that's the case, then it's safest to be indoors, right? Not that I'm a vampire, but I suspect that UV rays have a way of sneaking indoors if I'm not careful. So I'm meeting someone to help me verify this. I've invited Professor Leonard Ng, who specializes in solar cells and machine learning, to find out how exposed we may be to UV rays even at home. So right now I'm standing next to the window, so I'm going to assume that I'm getting a lot of UVA rays.
So right now you're being exposed to about 700 microwatts per square centimeter, which is still within the recommended safe limits. And now, as you can see from my radiometer, the numbers are constantly increasing, which means you're exposed to more and more UVA radiation the longer you stand beside the window.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let me just close the night curtains. Now, what I really want to do now is to measure again the UV levels that I'm getting with the night curtains drawn.
The blackout curtains have blocked out almost all of the UVA radiation.
Wow, I'm very impressed. This alone is able to block out almost 100% of the UV rays. Now this I want to put to the test. Many homes have laminated windows like this. It's great for privacy, but does it do anything to block out the UVA rays?
So according to my radiometer, we're only receiving about 250 microwatts per square centimeter, which is about 1/4 the recommended safe limit of UVA exposure. And let's just move over here to where we've got this frosted glass laminate sticker. And now the moment of truth. As you can see, Diana, the amount of UVA coming into the house has halved.
Wow, I'm completely amazed. I mean, it looks pretty translucent to me, and it's just a sheet of something.
Any kind of physical barrier that prevents light from entering the house will be able to reduce the amount of UVA rays entering your house.
Okay, so I've got something else to test out.
Sure.
So Leonard, I drive a lot, driving the kids as well as going to locations. So I'm obsessed with UV exposure inside the car. Let's do it.
Let's first take readings from the driver's seat. So, where you are right now, the car has effectively blocked out about 70% of the UVA radiation. So in addition to having a roof over your head, most modern cars nowadays come with either UV blocking glass or have some kind of pretty advanced laminate on it to block out even more UVA from coming into the car.
Then what about the back? Are the passengers better off?
According to my readings, the rear seat has 90% of the UVA radiation blocked out.
Wow, so the front seat has got only about 70% of the UV rays blocked and the back seat 90%.
In Singapore, according to regulations, we must have 70% transmission of light through the front windscreen, the driver's window, and the passenger window.
But with 30% exposure to UV rays from the front seats, you could still suffer skin damage if exposed regularly for long periods of time. In the short time that we had this conversation, the skies have become really cloudy. How does that affect the UV levels?
So even on a cloudy day, you can expect to be exposed to up to 3 times the recommended limits of UVA. This is especially so sometimes when clouds are a little bit too thin, so perhaps it's a good idea to make sure that you still have some kind of UVA protection even when you're walking outdoors on an overcast day.
I'm really happy to know that physical barriers such as this sun visor, curtains, and even laminate on glass windows actually do work to limit exposure to UV rays. Now, I'm thinking I will need extra protection when I'm on the go, and I wonder if UV clothing are actually effective. So by now, you know that I am quite conscientious about sun protection. A sun visor, sun patches, sun sleeves, and even a UV umbrella. These are only some of the sun protection items I own. Ultraviolet protection factor, or UPF, indicates how effectively the fabric blocks ultraviolet radiation from the sun. The higher the number, the better the protection. Just how effective are these UPF products? Well, I'm bringing an umbrella, a pair of sunglasses, a hat, yoga pants, 2 lightweight jackets, and even these sun patches. They are going to an expert on material science and engineering. The materials are put under a solar cell light simulator to expose them to UVA and UVB, the 2 ultraviolet spectrums that are damaging to us. Professor Tan then measures how much UV light passes through the materials with this radiometer. So, Prof, what are the results?
Excellent news. All these fabrics that we just measured actually can protect you under the UV really well. Now, under our solar cell simulator measurements, indeed, the protection is actually up to 99%.
Wow. Let's look at these yoga pants. How did they do?
Even better, 100% blockage from the solar cell simulator.
Other accessories like the sunglasses and the umbrella both reduced 91% of UVA transmission. The thicker sun patch reduced UVA transmission by 91%, but the thinner one only reduced UVA transmission by 38%.
They give us a claim that it's about 85%, but under our solar light simulator measurements, the measurement was only up to 40%. So there is significant difference between the product claim versus what we have measured. I guess this is really due to the fact that this material is really thin, and that reflects how much the light can actually pass through, eventually reaching your skin.
Now let's move on to the jacket. And to me, it's interesting because we have two of the same jackets but in different colors. Are the results different?
What we found out is that the black jacket actually gives you almost 100% blockage of the UV rays. But now the white color jacket actually only blocks out 75%.
What accounts for this difference?
The color does play a role of how the lights are being absorbed by the material. So in this case, black color is actually a very good absorber, almost perfect in a way. The white actually leads to more scattering.
So it's really good to know that these UV wearables generally work. But how do they work?
Well, we can start by looking at how light actually interacts with the materials, right? It gets scatters away or it gets absorption, right? To enhance the UV protection capability, manufacturers will also look into adding additives that increases that scattering effects, therefore increasing the protection factor.
So at the manufacturing process, things are added in to bounce off, if you like, as many of the UV rays as possible or to absorb them. But the end goal is just don't hit my skin.
Exactly.
Okay. Knowing that these UV wearables work on top of my daily sunscreen reinforces my dedication to sun protection.
Cut, it's a wrap.
You applied sunblock this morning, right? Okay, you better reapply again. Hey, you guys better reapply your sunblock, especially when you are working outdoors.